Welcome, Stampers, welcome. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair. And if you've been following Stampin' Up at all in the last week or so, you probably know that we have a new hot foil system, which is so much fun and just makes beautiful cards. Or probably any projects. I've only made cards and I've only used it a couple times, but I'm going to share it with you today. Because my card that will go live on my blog tomorrow, I used that. So I want to show you how it's done and share what I learned. So let's just go ahead and flip the camera over and I'll show you the card. So this is a card that will be on my blog tomorrow, and this tutorial will be on the post to download. It has all the dimensions, so you don't really need to pay any attention to that. But what I'm going to show you how I did is this brick here in the background. It is foil. And we flip it around there, you can see some shine, I think. It's so pretty. And I just want to share with you the system and how it works. Some things I learned probably. And believe me, I'm still learning. So I'm a little bit nervous about doing this, but let me show you the bits and pieces that come with the system if you're interested. You get a platform and it comes with this silicone mat, which is kind of a storage place. It's really meant to protect the heat from whatever surface you're working on. In my case, this gray thing that you see is silicone because I'm already protecting my quartz underneath because I don't want to get ink all over it, which I'm really good at doing. So I have a silicone mat down here that I use. It also comes with a power cord, of course, and the first thing you're going to do is plug it in. And you'll see all the lights lit up, and then the white light lights solid, and the red one blinks until it heats up. Now I've preheated this. They do say it takes about 6 minutes to heat. We'll see if my preheating shortened that time at all. But let me show you what else you get with it. You get this other cooling mat, which is also silicone, and this little magnetic tool to pick up your hot dyes. And then you get shims for running it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And they have told us that they've only tested it with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And so if you use it with another machine, I don't know if it will work, but if you do use it with another die cutting machine, Stampin' Up has told us it will void the warranty, the 1-year warranty. So that's good to know. It may work, it may not, I don't know. I have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss, so that's what I used. And it comes with this hot foil shim, which is greenish, and a clear hot foil spacer. So those are the things you get with the system. Obviously, you also need some special hot foil dies and some foil. Stampin' Up currently has 3 different colors of foil available. They've hinted that there may be more coming. I don't know when. We've got a light pink, a gold, and a silver. And they come in a box of 2. So you get 2 of these rolls, and there's quite a bit on there, so I'm thinking it lasts quite a while. Okay. I'm watching my machine. It's still blinking. I'm listening for the beep. So let me show you while we're waiting for that to heat. This is the die that we're going to use, this brick one. So I have gotten a couple questions. Why can't we just use our regular dies? Well, they are different. These dies do not cut. They're flat on one side, and then if you can see this, probably hard to see, these do not cut. They're flat, and that's what basically embosses the foil into your cardstock. But I like backgrounds, so this was one of the first ones I picked. When you purchase the system, it does come with a free class, or the class is included in the price. If you decide to purchase the system, be sure you look at the supply list that you need for the class. I didn't do that. I don't know if it was there for our pre-order or not, but I found I didn't get what I need for the class, not everything I need. So of course I had to place another order. And the class is available, I think, I didn't write that down. I want to say July 16th. It'll be live, and then, but after it goes live, it's available to stream at your convenience. So anybody who purchases between now and January will get that class for free. This particular dies did come as a bundle. I wasn't sure what I'd use these for, but I've learned the hard way that if you, sometimes I think, oh, I just want the dies and I don't get the stamp set. And then that happens. And of course I get them home and I want the other ones. So if you end up buying them separately, like I've done too many times, you learn just buy the bundle. This particular one has butterflies. The gold pictures are the hot foil, and the black one's die cut. So you do get some die cuts. Here you hot foil the butterflies all at once, and then this die cuts them out all at once. And this does come with masks, so you can color them. I'll have a card next week that I show that. And I see my platform here is solid red. One hint, it comes with these instructions. If you're somebody who usually takes your instructions and tosses them, oh, I can figure it out, don't do that. Keep the instructions, because you do need to follow the steps. And I don't know, I found it kind of, I forget. So I have to refer back to them. So the next step is we're going to place our die with the flat side down on here to heat it up. And I'm actually going to lay this square to the world so I know where to put my cardstock before we get going. And then we push this button again. And the yellow light lights up and flashes. And when that stops, then we can go ahead and use it. I also purchased this foil die. It's got these pretty sentiments and then dies that cut them out. This was one I really just wanted the dies, to be honest. But knowing what I know about myself, I ended up buying the bundle. But I loved these shapes. I thought they'd be fun for sentiments, and these fit within the dies and so on. So those are the ones I have so far. There are more available. I, like most of you, I'm sure, I have to watch my budget too. So I didn't buy everything. It was tempting, but I didn't. So once that heats up, we'll go ahead and build our sandwich. While we're waiting for that, this is the card, like I showed, that we're going to make. And I thought I'd show you a couple hints with stamping these ornaments. At least I had trouble with this one. I couldn't figure out how it worked. So I want to show you that. And my card, I use very traditional colors. I've got cherry cobbler and garden green. Let me find my Stampin' Pierce mat here to give me a little cushion. And what I found is, okay, my thing is hot, but let's just go ahead and do this. I think it'll be okay. With this one here, I did like to stamp it off just a little, so I very lightly touched it, not hard. I stamped this, so I have a little more variation in the color. That's total choice and probably depends on the color you use. My cherry cobbler is very inky, so it's very dark. But I found it easiest if I did the solid image first and then came back with the line image. And I lined the bottom tip and the top up. It didn't line up the way I thought it was supposed to. But this is the way it's supposed to. And that's not bad. But I thought these lines were to stamp in the clear spots with no ink, no, they go over the color. So that's just a hint. The other one that I did is just this little one. And again, I did find it easier to stamp. And I did that one upside down, but it doesn't really matter. There are dies that cut these out. Again, to line it up, I found it was easier if I did the solid first and then the line. And for me, that is not always the case. And then what I paid attention to was where this top point and this bottom point were. Because I stamped a few of these before I actually, and now my camera's in the way, of course. So it's probably not going to be great. Nope, it's not great. Don't do it with a camera in your front of your eyes. But that's my hint with those ornaments. And let's go ahead and do what we're really here for, which is to show you the foiling. So now we make our sandwich. And I'm going to check the directions. The directions say the next thing we do is we put our foil shiny side down. So I'm using gold. So I've pre-cut my piece. And I'm going to put this shiny side down. Now this foil is very flimsy. This is not like aluminum foil. And I'm going to, because I cut it the same size as my cardstock, I'm going to try hard to get it centered. And then you lay your cardstock on top of it. And hopefully I should have that a little higher. I mean, you really don't want to move this around. So I'm breaking my rules. You kind of want to get it down there and leave it alone. So let's just try it again. We'll see how bad it turns out. No, it moved. So let's leave that. And then we put our shim down. The hot foil shim, the green one. And then we put our clear cutting plate. So now we have our sandwich made, okay? We're gonna unplug this, and this is a magnetic plug, so just push down on it and it unplugs. And we're gonna take this to our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm gonna move the cord out of the way before I trip over it. And we take this whole thing, not the silicone pad, but we take the whole thing, including the platform, and we're going to run this through our Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. And we're going to run it slowly. It goes through pretty easy, easier than a regular die cut type thing. But you want to run it slowly because you want to give it time for the foil to melt and transfer to your cardstock. So I'm going very slowly, and you only want to go through once. You do not want to, sometimes when we die cut, we'll back it up and go back through again. You don't want to do that with this, only once, but go slowly. And then we're going to remove the two shims, and the cardstock usually comes off with it. Often I found it's just kind of a little staticky. Now, if we were going to do it another one, we would just set it, plug it in, set it aside, and let it heat up. But this will pick this up. It's hot, so you don't really want to touch it. And then you push the button here, and it releases. And this is just a cooling tray for your die to cool down. So I'm going to move this out of my way, back onto the silicone mat on the counter behind me. And now the fun, the reveal. And we get to peel this off. Voila! I didn't get it quite centered, but isn't it pretty? Isn't that pretty? And the little bit of sliding, it didn't hurt it, so that's good to know, okay? Now, let's go ahead and make the card. So that's hot filing. It's easier when you don't have a camera blocking your straight down look to get things lined up. One of the hints, I did find that, especially if I wanted something centered, not all the dies do you center. You might, like the butterflies, you're just gonna die cut them probably anyway. So it's not that critical, but this I really kind of wanted to try to get it centered on here. I found it easiest if I cut my foil the same size as my cardstock so I could line it up. But that's one hint. The types of paper, I should mention that you can use any kind of cardstock you want. I could have foiled it onto here. The smoother the cardstock, I'm using Very Vanilla. This is Very Vanilla. The smoother the cardstock, the more crisp your image will be. If the cardstock has texture, like our regular cardstock has a little more texture than basic white or Very Vanilla, the image just will not be quite as crisp. It still looks great, and with a one like this, it'd be perfectly fine because it's kind of an aged, worn brick anyway. The two-tone cardstock is also, if you want to use colored, the two-tone cardstock is smoother than our regular cardstock. The two-tone's the one that has a shade lighter on one side and the regular color on the other side. And it has a white core, and that cardstock is smoother. So that works really well as well. So let's just go ahead and assemble this. I have a lot of the work done, so you don't have to watch me do it all. We'll just put it together. The main thing I wanted to show you was the hot foiling. I'm gonna have to get my liquid adhesive out, I think. I don't know why it doesn't want, there it goes. I was trying to avoid gluey fingers. Again, all the dimensions for this are in that tutorial that you can download tomorrow on from my blog. But we'll go ahead and assemble this. I could show you this stamp set. This is called Festive Cheer. And it's a bundle. These are the stamps that you get with it. So you get several different ornaments. These ornaments can be used alone, or you can use two-step stamping. The sizes are very, very similar. So if you do two-step, your outside line, like if you put this in here, might not show. It's got a couple great larger sentiments and then some smaller ones. So that's the stamp set. The dies, we have dies for all the ornaments. I love this pine branch, and we're going to use that pine branch. And this Noel on here is really, really nice. Makes a nice sentiment. I pre-die cut, so I assembled my ornaments. I did these two ornaments, and I used the little bows, and then I think this is a bubble background for the bow, so if I wanted to layer it, but I wanted to keep it light. And then there are lots of tiny little dies in here. Most of these are hangers. I use these two and they cut out like 5 at a time. And they are these little toppers for your ornaments. They come in 2 different sizes. Where to go? They're little. There's a lot of little pieces to keep track of, but one of them has a little fatter one and the others are skinnier. I suspect the fatter ones are for these fatter ornaments, right? Got a couple things in here. I'm not sure what they are. I think they might be little berries. And then there's some single toppers as well. So lots of bits and pieces. Have no idea what that little tiny one is for. If anybody knows, leave it in the comments. Let me know, because I don't know. It's 2 little dots. Cuts 2 little holes, so I'm not sure. Maybe you put them on these. I do not know. But that is a teeny tiny little die, which I'm happy I haven't lost it yet. Those teeny tiny ones are hard to keep track of, aren't they? So we're going to put this up here on the top, and I am just going to put this on with dimensionals. So there's not I'm gonna have to use my small ones, I think. There's not a lot of room for dimensionals. So I pretty much can get one big one there, and then we have to cut some little pieces. And I probably should have done this before, didn't think about it. So I use all these edges along here. No dimensional piece goes to waste with me because I love dimensionals. So I'm just going to put a little piece right here, and then we'll add another little piece down here. And that'll probably hold it. It's not like it's going to be blowing in the breeze, right? So we'll just lay that up here near the top. I did wipe some Wink of Stella on here. I don't know if you can see it. It just gives it a little sparkle. It looks like it's got frost. Now I assembled these already. There is a die in there that I don't think I showed you. It's the one that cuts these, and it cuts out 5 at once. So I had some left over from this card. These are just made with crumb cake. And I am just going to tuck this up here about where I want it, and then look where I want to cut it off. Okay, and then we'll put it on with some dimensionals. I have a brand new sheet of these larger ones. Got it all nicely colored so I can find them, if you're wondering why I do that. Somebody who's been stamping much longer than me gave that as a tip one time, is to color them with a highlighter. Because it makes, when you go to put them down on something, you can make sure you've got them all. You got them all, the backs off, because I've done that many times. I don't know if anybody else has done that. I've gone to stick something down and I'm like, why is it not sticking? Come to find out I missed pulling the backings off a couple dimensionals. So I like this hint. And I picked the brightest, wildest colors I can find from my all right, we're going to cut that about right here. It is much easier to have these all assembled and then put it up under here than to do it the way I did, which was a piece at a time. The second time you make the same card, you always learned a few things, right? And I stamped the Deck the Halls with cherry cobbler, and we will just stick that on there with dimensionals. The other nice thing about having these colored, the brighter the better, is when they get buried in your stamping mess. It's a little easier to find them, unless they're totally buried, but a little bit. We'll stick that right down there. Okay. And what do we need? We need just a teeny tiny bit of bling. I think I put out some bling somewhere. I have lots of little rhinestones floating around, so I'm just going to put one in the middle of that ornament. And then we'll put a couple on this one down here along the edge, just to give a little sparkle. You can't have a Christmas card with no sparkle, right? Now I embossed this with the Swirls of Magic embossing folder. This is great. We used it had a friend over last weekend for the 4th, a couple weekends ago, I guess now. And she made an awesome card with this for 4th of July. So it works great for that, works great for birthdays. I think it's pretty for Christmas. So I used it on here, and we're just gonna add a little bit of texture on the front of our Very Vanilla. Embossing folders, I'm told, always best to put them on with liquid adhesive because they're bumpy and it will stick better because it'll get down in the crooks and crannies of your embossing folder. And we need some dimensionals on here. And there you can see, I can see my fluorescent orange dimensionals hiding over there behind my camera stand. And then we will be done. So I'd love to hear what you think of the hot foil system. Have you seen hot foiling before? There are other systems out there. Other companies have had them, but they're brand new to us. As demonstrators, we've known about it for maybe a month or so. We were given a chance about a month ago to order it, I should say. It is now available for everybody to order until they announce that date, which was last Friday, is when it became available for everyone. We didn't know when customers were going to get it, and we were sworn to secrecy, which usually doesn't work very well with demonstrators. We have a hard time keeping things to ourselves, but this time I think we did a pretty good job. I know I didn't tell anybody. So there we go. And guess what? I have 2 Christmas cards for my stash. That's always good. I am behind this year. I'm going to bring my camera back over. Normally by the middle of July, I got at least a half a dozen Christmas cards made. I start early, and I always have a Christmas in July stamp count. And that's the 25th of this month at my house. So that gets me going because I have to make cards for that. But I am a little behind this year. I spent too much time celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, right? Our birthday. Had a great time last weekend, the weekend of 4th of July. It was a party all weekend long around here on the lake. So that was fun. There were boat parades, fireworks a couple nights, and just hanging out with friends. So it was great. Let me know what you think of the hot filing system. I'd be very interested in knowing what you think about it. If you're going to try it, or if it's something not for you, that's fine too, but it is fun. And I probably made it look harder than I needed to or should have. But honestly, that's the 3rd time I've done it. So it can't be too bad if, it worked, right? At least it worked. So have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week. Next week I have Technique Week, so there's going to be a couple videos because both of the cards next week will use a technique. One of them's going to show you those butterflies. We're not going to foil them, but we're going to show you what we can do with the masks once they are foiled. And you can look back at this video to figure out how to foil. So have a good one, friends, and we will see you soon. God bless.